G'day legends, welcome to the Off-Season Chinwag on Celtic Down Under. We're back again for another season. So thanks to everyone sticking with us over the off-season. Had a bit of a break, had a bit of stuff going on. So yeah, we're back, and yeah, it's good to be joined here tonight by Shane and Liam. Got a few of the old boys together. Only one's missing are Johnny and Willie, and that's like, all the OGs together. There you go. So how you been, Liam?
Aye, good, thanks. I was back in Scotland for a wee while. Big thank you to everybody that I caught up with while I was back, and apologies to those who I wasn't able to. But I'll be back over again probably later this year, early next year, hopefully. And yeah, it was great to see everybody, and aye. But I'm back in Japan now, and it is currently 34 degrees at 7 o'clock at night. So that gives you an idea of how much I am sweating like a black guy at a Trump rally here. It is unpleasant.
And here we are, it's like 13 degrees over here, Liam. So there you go, good fun.
Aye.
Who's got the more Scottish weather? Figure it out. I don't know. How you going, Shane?
Yeah, good. Good to be back with you, gentlemen. It's been a little while since the season finished. I've just been indulging in pretty much all things World Cup, and obviously Scotland didn't make it through to the knockout stages, and Australia couldn't win a knockout game against Egypt, so it ends in a little bit of disappointment on both fronts. But it's still a wonderful event to be part of, and still a lot to unfold. And yeah, I've been really sort of just getting around that, but excited to get back into talking all things Celtic as well.
Yeah, it's we're going to be completely freewheel on this pod because there's been a lot of time gone since the last episode, almost a month. But in terms of Celtic, bugger all's happened. I think that's the way to sum it up. We still don't. So I'm just going to rattle off a few things off the top of my head, and then if you feel like just jumping in and we'll just have a bit of a session going on here. But still got an interim chairman. We appointed Martin O'Neill, but then took a week to appoint his support staff. And then first day of training, they were suddenly there, but they weren't signed the day before. We've signed a winger, which is good. First time in like 314 odd days or something like that we actually spent money on a transfer. We have released Oxlade-Chamberlain and Iheanacho and re-signed the Ox. We still don't have a full-on head of recruitment. We don't have a director of football. Our youth academy's rubbish. We lost like two 16-year-olds, one to Liverpool and one to somewhere in London, Fulham. The more things change, the more they stay the same, hey boys. Anything else to add to that list?
Oh, they
The new
updated
merch
Celtic
looks
TV.
good, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, the 4,000 merch drops, yeah. The new merch is looking good. Celtic TV's new, yeah, that's another one. And yeah. There's still all the rumours of Callum McGregor going to Saudi Arabia. So there you go. He's got a new agent.
I mean, Liam probably covered it with the merch, but I was specifically going to comment on the new watches.
Oh yeah.
Oh god.
It's just funny, isn't it?
Well, you're spending a fair bit of coin on those watches, and I really hope they come with an actual stopwatch so we can time from now until the next time Celtic actually sign somebody.
No, you know why they released the watches, Shane? You've got to understand something. It's for those missing 22 seconds. So everyone can make sure that they go missing again. I had to. Couldn't help
They
myself.
should have. Let's see if they actually had any semblance of like marketing ability. They should have done something to tie in with the last game of the season and the watches. They really, that was an open goal there, right? I don't like this idea of like £2,000 watches, but if they're going to flog them, they could have at least done it with a bit of creativity, you know?
Or what they would have done was got Austin Trusty to be the guy, Austin Trusty, the guy in the ad doing it instead of Osman. But Trusty's like getting pushed, and there's a guy like this with his hand on his head, and there's the watches on that guy's hand.
You're gonna get a job ahead of marketing if you're not careful with comments like that, mate.
Couldn't be any worse. Let's be honest. Could not be any worse. Jobs for the boys that will get accused of. There you go.
I think to pick up on your point earlier, one of the things that you mentioned was about the support staff coming on board, right? And obviously, we talked a bit towards the end of sort of the before we had our break. We're obviously aware that Martin was probably going to come on board as manager, and we all kind of expected his support staff to remain. And I think what's been so frustrating, or what led me to be pretty dismayed, and we've been through a lot. To be honest with you, it's hard to actually sort of think that we hit some new lows, but the alleged or reported behaviour that the club tried to get back both Maloney and Fotheringham on cheaper deals was just one of just utter bemusement. Like, we're talking about two people that have come on board at when the club's at arguably its lowest ebb, most certainly its lowest ebb in the last 2 decades, and have helped steer the club through a crisis twice to win the most unlikeliest title for almost 3 decades. And yet, instead of actually commanding a higher wage, the club's going to actually talk them down to something less. It was just extremely disappointing.
On that, Shane, I was just about to jump in and say something there, but you got back to it. They answered the call twice last season. That's the thing. They answered the call 2 different times. After the Brendan Rodgers thing went tits up, and then you get, he shall not be named. Bring in old mate, and I don't know, not ideal, but we'll just park that there for a second, because I want to because the World Cup's on. There's a comment here from Andrew Galea saying, after the World Cup, I'm convinced we should sign Aidan O'Neill as our new number 6, right? And the thing for me is, I wanted to ask you boys, I know you've been watching a lot of the World Cup. So, are there any players that you've seen that you think Celtic should be signing, or at least be having a look at? I'm sure there would be. You could rattle off probably 4 or 5 each. I know for a fact that I could do that. The thing for me that I really took out of this World Cup is how much a few seasons ago, Shane, were we talking about bringing Geordie Boss in, getting him, trying to get Nestor Irankunda in from Adelaide. We've had people in the comments before saying we should be looking at Mo Toure. We've had guys in the comments saying we should be bringing back, what's his name? Jackson Irvin, because he counts as club trained. But me and my brother were talking. He reckons we should go out and bring Connor Metcalf in. He'd be a good fit in this Celtic team. So that's just the Australian team, and that's connections that names we've had said on this podcast over the last 2-3 years quite comfortably. And that's not even getting into the goalkeepers who aren't in the squad. Like we've had links with Matt Ryan before, but then you've also got Joe Gauchi, who we've mentioned before as well. So there's plenty of talent coming through in the Australian football scene. So is there anyone from the Australian team that you saw, Shane, or from the Japanese team, Liam, that you saw that you think we should be going out and targeting? Or are there players from other countries that you think as well?
I'll let Liam go first. Go on, mate.
Well, I like the look of both the Egyptian players that we've been linked with. I mean, that winger, Hassam, he was man of the match against Argentina. Outstanding.
Is that the guy who's mad as a cut snake, or is that the other one?
No, that's the other one. But I like him as well because he's got that slightly psychotic thing that we are missing in midfield at the moment. Everyone's making a big deal about, the guy got done for assault, whatever. He went out to a shopping centre and leathered the security guard who had stood back and watched his wife get a kicking off of a bunch of Neds. So I think the guy's all right in my book. Yes, exactly.
I would have done the same thing, so he's okay in my books.
Yep. No, he'll do. And I think that the big takeaway from this World Cup generally is that there is not the big gap between the smaller countries and the big countries that there used to be, right? You look at teams like, well, I mean, obviously Cape Verde is the obvious one, right? But that was a bit of a fluke, I think, if we're being honest. But, you get teams like Bosnia, Switzerland, even things like, teams like Paraguay, who are not usually a presence, but who all did some damage at this tournament and all showed that they could go toe-to-toe. I mean, Canada and the US as well.
Scotland.
Anyway, moving on.
He's won a World Cup game. There you go. Well done.
Oh God, I just about got over the trauma of the whole Scotland thing, and you had to bloody send me down that hole again, didn't you?
Come on, Liam. I had to see your face
Oh
here when I said that. But the best
God.
part is that Stevie Clark's gone for Scotland, so that's good. And gee, you could do a lot worse than Rafa Benitez in as the manager.
Aye. Yeah, that would be a good shout. That would be a good shout. Someone who actually knows how to play a team that's creative.
That can play attacking and defensive football and formulate a plan on how to do both at the same time. Yeah.
Aye. Aye. Sorry, just to pick up on a point Andrew's saying in the comments, the Egyptians will be used to a few quid. Well, actually, the crazy one is playing in Egypt at the moment, so he's not going to be on funny money there. And the other guy's playing in the Spanish second division. So I would guess what he's getting there is probably on a par with what Celtic would offer a mid-level player. So if we push the boat out, we could get both of them. The contracts won't be a problem. It'll be the fees that'll be the issue.
Let's have a look, Lamb. I had a look at the Mad Bastards one the other day. He's only on about £18,000 a week. Achievable for Celtic in the budget.
Yep.
And the funny thing is, the only time he's come to Europe, he went to Midtjylland, stayed for half a season, and pissed off home because the coach got sacked. So, yeah, look, affordable. It's one of those things. There's different markets out there, other countries to look at, though. For me, it's a shame what happened with the South African boy Jaden Adams or Jalen Adams or whatever it was the other day.
Yeah, it was tragic.
But-
Rest in peace, mate.
Exactly. But the thing is, because I was going to mention South Africa, straight away I had to bring that, but they've got a few guys playing in their local league that'd be looking for their move into Europe. In the same way, a couple of years when Ange came in, we were that gateway club for players to come from Japan into Scotland, get a game, get into it, and then they can make their next move. If we position ourselves, these guys, instead of going to France or going to Belgium, they could come to us for a season or two and then look for their move. I've always kept an eye on South African football over the years because I loved Benny McCarthy back in the day. Thought he was a mad bastard in terms of cool hairdo. He used to look like one of the coolest cats out there. And he could play a bit too.
And Bloemfontein Celtic as well.
Oh, yeah, that too. There you go.
Getting back to your point about the Australian players, Jared, which I actually mostly agree with, I'd add two other names to that, which are Lucas Harrington, who is
No
going
chance.
to be... I know that, but hear me out. I'll run with that one in a second. And obviously Paddy Beach too, but then I think even if we were to get him, and he had a tremendous World Cup, that calls into question Sinisalo's spot if we're signing someone else, because I don't think Paddy Beach would be an understudy to Sinisalo, put it that way. Harrington, I don't think's too far-fetched necessarily if maybe his parent club that he goes to is looking to loan him out for consistent game time. So not on a permanent, but definitely as a loan. But the point I wanted to make, because I agree with the players that you listed off in terms of Metcalf, in terms of Iran Kunda, Mo Toure, what I was going to say and where I'm frustrated is I think they might actually be out of our range already, to be honest. Toure's killing it at Norwich City. You know, he's not going to come to Celtic. Iran Kunda's at Watford, and he's probably going to go up from there. Connor Metcalf was at St. Pauli
With Jackson.
Now, Jackson's leaving, I think, so he's a possibility to come on a free. I'm pretty sure he's done. But he's at like 33, we 34. I'm not saying he can't contribute, but he's not the
Aaron
Jackson.
Moyes on him.
Sort of. I wouldn't... It is, but I think he's that kind of player that you add when you've made other signings around it. Not someone you bring in at this point when you haven't made other signings. That's I'd have a little bit of concern around that. You think when Moy came in, he came in after we'd done a lot of our other business. He was that cream on the top, basically, whereas... Now we're kind of looking to actually sign players in areas we're deficient in. I'm just not sure he'd fit that bill just yet. But I just think, unfortunately, we've slept a little bit. And these players are now a little bit beyond us, unfortunately.
I would say with the Irvine thing on what you're saying there, Shane, I get what you're saying. But sometimes if there's a player that you want and they'll fit what you want them to do, even if it's someone that you would want to sign once you've done a bit of other business, sometimes just snap them up and get them signed and in the door, and then you can focus on your other business. Because the way I'm looking at it is the Calmac situation's up in the air. The Engel situation, he'll be off. Hatade will be off. So we're going to be losing 2, maybe 3 midfielders. So we've got to get some quality and some numbers in anyway. So I look at it as Irvine would be coming in to take Hatade's spot. Or Bernardo's spot. He'd be coming in for that role. Good enough to start domestically and in Europe, but it's also good enough to some squad depth off the bench. Oxlade-Chamberlain's been brought in the same role, but we've still got 2 starting positions in the middle of the park we've got to sort out.
Yeah. Oh, look, he'd be a great signing. Don't get me wrong. I'd love to see him back at Celtic again. But yeah, he's come off a good season for St. Pauli, and he's obviously just had a World Cup campaign where he was heavily involved as well, albeit not early on. Look, if he can make it happen and he's a free, it'd be silly not to.
So I've got some comments here because McLaughlin's asking a question here for Liam. Who does the Japan keeper play for?
Zion Suzuki currently plays for Parma Calcio in Italy, so he'd be out our price range, unfortunately.
And then Andrew Galea has a couple of comments I'm going to bring up here. So Metcalf and O'Neill are in our budget, which they would be. John Cairns is saying, we had Jackson once, would he come again? Depends on the family sitcho over there, but that'd be cool. This is one I thought of just for shits and giggles, above all else. Get Harry Suter and to spice up the derby. Get that magnificently large head. That's got to be like a chuppa of a human. If you got, do they have chuppa chups in Scotland or not?
He's like a human Corinthians figure. Remember those wee Corinthian figures?
No, I'll go it for you, Liam. Do they have chuppa chups like lollipops with a thin stick?
Aye, the big bulb on it. Aye.
That's him, or he's the human Pez dispenser.
Oh God!
There you go. But this one here is spot on. I would love for us to sign him. Kai Truan. I think he's got a bright future, and he's one in the right age profile, ready for his big move to Europe. He could come in and do a job for us. Shane probably doesn't like that because he's Melbourne City. But
that's right.
player.
I'm not totally sold on him just yet. I haven't seen enough at national team level and domestically to say he's ready for that move, me personally. But you know, if we are going to take a punt on that player, this is the opportunity to do so right now. If we let him go to Europe and he goes somewhere else, like Geordie Boss, for example, and goes to the Netherlands and actually establishes himself, well, then he's very quickly out of range.
I don't really trust the Melbourne City pipeline into Celtic Park with the last 2 guys who have walked that way.
I mean, technically, Aaron Moy was part of that pipeline to some degree. Not development-wise, but was attached.
No, but we didn't sign Moy directly from Melbourne City. Is what I'm saying.
But he had a link there at least. But I agree with you. The direct
I'm talking about Arzani and Tilio, just for everyone. Now, Johnny's saying, what about Jordan Boss? He's at Feyenoord. He's one of the vice captains there now. He's not coming to us. Right, so let's be honest. We won't get Geordie. If we're going to get either of the bosses, we could probably afford his brother Casey, who I actually reckon was a better player at the same age.
He's just made a big move, though, Case. He's just been signed somewhere else.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we'd probably be better off getting his brother in. So it's going to be an interesting one. Inner Hype is saying Vargas from Switzerland. Fair shout.
Not sure who he's playing for, but I like what I saw of him, so yeah.
Yeah, but above all else, John Cairns is spot on here with the whole recruitment thing. Great, we spent 6 million, about 40 short of what we need to be. And it's a starting point. So, yeah, it's a bit of an interesting one with the World Cup. Now, off the back of the World Cup, we're talking about that mad bastard Egyptian before, right? If we're going to bring him in, we know Martin loves a few crazies, right? Players with character.
Yeah.
I would, if ideal world, I would love AJ to stay, but I reckon he'll get an offer will come in for AJ off the back of the World Cup. Guaranteed, we're going to get someone knocking on the door, and we know what our board's like. If the money's right, they'll take it. Do we, spend some of that money, send 10 mil down to Bournemouth and bring in our psycho hedgehog from last season or whatever it was, and bring in Araujo? Then imagine the psychos in your team if that happens.
I mean, in an ideal world, we should be looking to bring Araujo back irrespective of the AJ situation, in my opinion.
I mean, I tell you one I would like. I don't know who he plays for, but who was that nut job that got sent off for Uruguay against Spain? the guy who just totally lost the plot. Because he was actually he looked like a decent player before the red mist descended. I can't remember the boy's name. Is it Carrasco or something like that? But I thought he looked like a player, and he's also got that South American head case thing going on, which I really think we need. Like Uruguay were a bunch of savages, weren't they? They really were dirty bastards in this tournament, weren't they? I mean, they just they really went for it, particularly in Spain. But I think overall, though, to be honest, our markets now, I think Australia has sailed. To be quite frank with you, I think they've already, the English clubs have already tapped up what's worth tapping up there, and they'll be monitoring these players you're talking about if they do make that next step. For Celtic right now, I think it's Africa and Eastern Europe are the two markets we should look at. Those are the two that haven't been dredged yet by England. So,
I'll go one further on that as well, Liam. Agree on those two, but the one other one, South America and not Brazil or Argentina. I'm talking about,
yes.
look at your Colombians, look at
Paraguay.
your Peruvians, look at Paraguay, Chileans. Those sort of ones would be within our budget. Bolivians, that sort of stuff would all be there. Ecuadorians, you could get some players, and half of them are all mad bastards too. So you could do that, because I was just thinking defensively though. I was just having a look while you were chatting. I was like, I wanted to find out about the Swiss defenders, because look what they did, down a man and everything like that. So I wouldn't mind having a look at some of their guys as well. So there's plenty of options here. The question is though, what pathway is Celtic looking for, and what style of game are we going to be playing? Because are we going to be playing Sean Maloney's passing game? Are we going to be playing Martin's more direct style of football? It's going to be an interesting one. You mentioned before, Shane, about Harrington. He'll probably make his $25 million move to Barcelona and then might go on loan. I don't think he'll do the Alex Valle loan from Barca up to Celtic, but you've got to ask the question.
He'd get regular game time. He's a ball-playing centre-back. He's got a great head on his shoulders. He's young. He's youthful. He's got so many attributes. He is going to genuinely be the next star of Australian football. No question. He's going to be captain of the Socceroos team in like a couple of years' time when he's ready, like easily. You can tell just with the head on his shoulders that he's going to lead this team. I think he'd be great to have, because I think he can contribute immediately and he could do well in Scotland. I think he's going to be a step up compared to just your hammer thrower centre halves, right? So it'd be great to have him on board. But you're right, he's probably going to go to Barca. But, he's not going to play there. They're going to want him to get some regular game time. They're going to probably want him to play in a bit more of a physical league as well, build that body up, because he's quite lean still. I don't think Scotland's without a shout.
One other young guy in the Socceroos squad who could do with a season in Scotland to toughen up is Paul Ocon Engsler.
I think he just made a move somewhere, or he's rumoured to sign for someone in Europe. But it won't be Scotland, unfortunately. It won't be Celtic.
But anyway, we'll figure it out. So
I think, just to pick up on Liam's point real quickly, I think Liam's right. I think we're all in agreement that maybe Australia as a market in terms of Australian players hasn't necessarily sailed. I think maybe there are some players coming out of the A-League that Celtic could look at and bring on board directly from the A-League instead of letting them go over to Europe first. But the players that have already made those jumps to Europe are definitely now beyond that. I can't see any one of those players. O'Neill is interesting because from memory he was playing in MLS. And I think he was doing quite well in MLS. So I'm not sure he would leave that to come to Celtic. Metcalf, maybe. But yeah, there's not many that I look at and go, yep, they're the kind of player we need, and we can get them now. I think that ship has sailed. I think Liam's totally right.
yeah, basically the A-League as a league for youth development, like when COVID happened and a lot of teams had to start bringing through their younger players, the league looked pretty horrible for a couple of years off the back of that. But now it's starting to, the league has done that turn, which you've seen in Japan recently and in the MLS as well a few years back, where teams are starting to bring through their young players, develop them for a few years and then sell them. And we're starting to get that pipeline happening here into these leagues. But it's not just England looking at. You've got teams in Germany are looking down here. You've got Belgium, Dutch teams are looking down here. MLS clubs are looking. Eli Adams, who was talking about last season, thinking he'd be great for us, he's going to Japan off the Gambro Osaka. So you've got players going here, there, and everywhere. So these are those young kids that are like 22 to 25 range, have played 3 to 4 years of senior football, and they're making that move overseas, and it's good to see them. That's maybe the league here's matured too much. But then the South American countries I mentioned before, apparently those guys, a lot of those young kids are now going up to play in Mexico, or they're going to play in the MLS and then get their move across to Europe. So it's a tough spot to be in. The biggest issue is, I honestly reckon, I could go on a little rant here, but I'm gonna let you guys talk a bit. Is our whole youth setup? That's the next issue.
It's probably runs a
Yeah.
little bit deeper than, like, a bit further than that. I definitely, the youth thing's worth discussing, but also there probably is still a window for us to get certain players, but it requires us to be ambitious and it requires us to put hand in pocket.
It requires us to actually put the analog watch away, put the digital like Apple iWatch or something on, and actually look at some analytics and get stuck into it and realize, hang on, this is what every other club's doing this time around here, and identifying players. Like, you have a look at what Hearts do with their recruitment. They get into Jamestown Analytics and do that. Then you've got the guy who's involved at Auckland FC. Also can't remember which, Bill Foley.
Yep.
Can't remember. He's in at Hibs. He's got a tie into Hibs, and he's got a tie into some other club in England. So you got to look at it and go, well, they're looking at their recruitment is off that, and then you're looking at what the Huns are doing. They're going the complete opposite. They're going staunch FC, and the diets are becoming the full fats. So that's their recruitment model. So it's like you look at what the Edinburgh clubs are doing, and they're playing that more modern, analytics. What do we want to do? And having a look and going, okay, there's a striker that we want, and he ticks all the boxes. He's played 15 first-team games. He's in the third tier. Like, this is what Melbourne Victory did with Charles and Duca, just as an example. There's a player, ticks all the boxes that we need for the striker. He's playing third tier in Japan. Oh, let's bring him out anyway. Signed him, did well, and he's got a 3-year extension. That's what Jamestown Analytics is looking at. That's what Bill Foley's mob's doing. That's what Hibs are doing. We ain't doing that. We're not doing anything. We're sitting there going, nothing to see here, twiddling our thumbs and getting on with it. And it's like, can't leave it all to the last minute again. How many days is it till our Champions League qualifier? Probably about 5 weeks away, isn't it?
Yeah, mid-August, isn't it?
Fuck.
By the way, I just checked that Uruguayan boy I mentioned. His name's Canobio, and he's currently playing for Fluminense. So
Oh, yeah,
he would be within our price range if we were going to go for him, but don't think we will.
Kenobio, he sounds Japanese.
Sounds like a Jedi that got lost in Italy on these travels.
Or it's like Ewan McGregor's mate.
Aye.
Wow. Yeah, so Shane, what do you think's the issue with our youth academy then?
Thanks for giving me the easy question.
I'm letting Liam have a thinking time because I've got some comments here, but I want you guys to get a bit of talking.
I don't really know what the problem is in a specific degree. I think I know what the problem is and what our frustration is that the pathway. We all want a pathway where we can see our youth players actually come in and actually contribute to Celtic and start to actually make their contribution to the Celtic first team. But we also want to see our youth players actually play at a level where they're growing at a degree, where they're getting development, they're playing against good opponents as well. And I think part of this is what we've talked about before with things like the B team and so forth, being in such a lowland league and not having that level of competition to actually build up their skills. But it's frustrating to lose a lot of these good players, and you mentioned it during the start of the pod, as we've lost a couple of high youth prospects to other clubs instead of actually staying at Celtic and saying, well, how can I make this work? Can I see a pathway for me actually getting into Celtic itself? So I don't really know what the problem is. I'd be lying if I said I did, but I can tell you 100% what the frustration is, and I think we all kind of share that.
I'll bring up a comment here. So we've got this one from Andrew where he goes, it's too big a jump between youth and the seniors, nowhere to develop them. And that's where you're touching on the B team thing, in my opinion, has been a massive failure. Absolute failure. It's great that the kids are getting, like I'm saying, that the kids are getting a game, but it's a nothing competition. It's too low a standard, and then a jump from there is too big. So the pathway is rubbish. Before I get into my last little part of it, I'm going to throw to you, Liam, for your take on it all and your thoughts, because, yeah, I've got a little bit of
Bring back the reserve league. Bring back the reserve league. That's all I can say, because it's quite obvious that the B team playing semi-professional level is not helping the players. It's actively hurting them, and that is encouraging them to make these moves to England, where even if they don't get anywhere near a first team, playing in the English Premier League Reserve League is going to be a far higher standard than the West of Scotland League. But in a sense, no, I'm not defending the club here, but Celtic and Hearts and Rangers are all caught in this same sort of catch-22, whereby people say, "Oh, you've got to develop more youth players. Need more youth players." The minute one of them shows any talent, he gets snapped up by an English team. Unless there is some way for us to protect the assets that are these young players, quite frankly, what is the point in Celtic investing in them? Because the minute they show a spark of talent, they're off. And I don't blame them, because you get West Ham or whatever offering them 10 times what they get at Celtic. I would take that as well.
You've got players going signing down south for 15 grand a week, and then you look at our first team squad wages, and if they're on 15 grand a week, that'd be probably a top 12, 13 earner at the club.
Yep.
But I'm going to jump onto what you said there, Liam, because bring back the reserve league. That was one thing I'm thinking, and it's an easy way to do this. How much is Scotland getting coming in from European football, whether you're playing Europa League, Champions League, whatever? You know the cost to run the reserve league? Do you know what that would cost for every club?
It's about £500,000, I think, if I remember right.
Works out at, it's not $500,000 per club. It's there's 5 clubs that have already said they'll put their hand in their pocket and do it. Celtic, Rangers, Hearts, Hibs, St Mirren. They're the 5 clubs. St Mirren was the one that shocked me, right? So there's 7 other clubs. For them to run it, is that $500,000 would cover those other 7 clubs off. That's what that is. It's a drop in the ocean. We go and play a game in the Europa League and you get a draw, that's covered for the year. And now, if you've got a player coming back from injury, you can get 3 or 4 games into them before they come back to first team level, coming through the reserve league. Your youth players can play in there, get play against men, get used to it. If you've got a player who was on the bench, say Stephen Welsh was an example last season, he's on your bench, he comes on for a 10-minute burst, and then that's it. You still need to get run into his legs, make him play the next day in the reserve league. Like, it works so much more. Now, the issue that we do have, and this is where my rant was going to come in before, Liam, is you said as soon as someone shows some talent, they piss off down to England, right? And that's what shits me to tears, because guess what? What passport are they playing under? Because they've got to pick a national team. So if you're Welsh, you aren't stuck in the Welsh league. You're playing in the English, and you're playing in the down south in the EPL or whatever, right?
Yeah.
If you're in Scotland, you're playing in the Scottish Premier League. It's across border. It's $500,000. But if you're a Welsh kid coming through at Cardiff, right, and you're showing talent, and someone like Fulham comes in for him like they did for our kid earlier this week, they'd have to pay a lot more than $500,000, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
And this is where it shits me, is the fact that why do we have this cross-border thing? Because we're in the Scottish League, but they're using the British passport, yet at Europa League, and when you're trying to put together your squad list for Europe, you have to have homegrown players that are Scottish. We are playing in Scottish football. So that whole cross-border thing, where we're getting caught out is because they're using the British passport to move those players south of the border and north of the border. If it was Scottish passport, Welsh passport, English passport, because that's the national teams, so that's what you classify as. Guess what? Suddenly this whole issue goes away, doesn't it?
I mean, it seems to me that from what you say, a simple way to solve this, because I think what it stems from is that youth players don't have to declare for a particular country. I mean, I can't remember, one of the Moroccan players who played in the game last week. He was up until 6 months ago playing for the French under 21s.
Yeah.
And he declared for Morocco because it meant he could play at the World Cup. No, nothing wrong with that. But he was technically a French player up until then. So I really do think like this whole idea of like nationality, because like you said, the British passport but the Scottish League or the English League creates that murky uncertainty. It should just be right. All British nationals should count as homegrown in that sense, right?
Exactly.
As long as until Scotland grows a pair and votes for independence, I think that's the only way to solve the problem. So
because that's where the issue is, Liam. Like, let's be honest. If you're a Scottish kid coming through, but you can get moved down south, and because if you wanted to move to play for Barcelona, right, and you're 16 years old, you can't go if you're under 18 because you're not allowed to basically sell kids, right? Human trafficking, basically, until you turn 18. So basically what you're looking at is if you can't go to a different country, i.e. somewhere on the continent, if you're under 18, but you're a 16-year-old and you can go to a different country, i.e. down in England, how's it any different? You've got a passport that gets you around it because it's all Britain. It makes no sense. So either we classify for homegrown talent and all that sort of stuff, and we go into the same system for our youth kids as they have for the Welsh players, and there's none of this cross-border shit, and if they want to sign one of our kids from the youth academy, spend £5 million on him, bring him down to Fulham, because that money goes straight back into our academy and runs our reserve team and then develops the next batch coming through, and then it becomes self-sustainable. If you sell a player at a young age and you lose them, a Ben Doak situation comes through with us, goes to Liverpool, spends 18 months there, and then gets sold for 20-something million to Middlesbrough. Imagine if that was a Celtic player making that move down, and then he does well, and then he gets sold on for 20 million from Liverpool to Middlesbrough. We'd get a percentage of that kicking back up the road on a sell-on. We don't get any of that. We get a couple of cents on the dollar. That's it.
Again, if we had an SFA that actually had a spine, they could push at UEFA to get this reformed, because clearly reform is needed, because this isn't just hurting Celtic, it's hurting every Scottish club that produces any kind of youth talent.
Yeah.
They're all just being snapped up by mediocre English teams before the Scottish clubs even have a chance to play them in their first team in some cases.
It's happening at Aberdeen. Some of their players have been scooped up recently. It happened at Dundee United last season. Dundee United, I can't remember which one of them. They lost one down in England, and I'm passionate about this because it shits me to tears just watching it, because us being so far removed over here, there's nothing better than seeing your young kids coming through, and we don't have that anymore. Like, I loved seeing Jamesy come through. I love seeing Calmac come through, Tierney come through. Other than that, who else has it been? Everyone else has either been injury prone, Mikey Johnson, or not up to it, Stephen Welsh, or just like a workman, the Bricky. And yes, John, Liam is asking for, is it Nigel Farage running reform? He's wanting him to come.
Vote count
Vote
bin
count,
face.
count
Vote
bin
bin
face,
face.
yep.
The only one to vote for. You know it makes sense.
And Andrew Galea is saying it here, like Volpato and Ciccardi came through the Italian junior teams. And the thing is, they had one Australian parent. And what you're talking about the guy who played for Morocco, Odson Edouard, all the way came through France. He got offered before the World Cup to go play for Haiti, and he's like, no, why should I take someone's spot at the World Cup that qualified for it? So it's happening all over the place. If FIFA's going to loosen the rules on that, then we need to loosen the rules as well and sort out this whole cross-border thing, because it's killing clubs like in Scottish clubs, not just us. I'm sure Rangers have lost a couple. I don't like those bastards at all, but, you know, if it's happening to us, it's happening to everyone else up in Scotland.
How much more competitive would the Scottish League be if teams like Aberdeen, Dundee United, Falkirk, whatever, could get £5 or £6 million for one player every now and again? You know, it would just give them that wee bit more buoyancy that they could actually compete with us.
But imagine that. They get £5 million comes in, and their youth academy is costing them £1 million a year. That's it running for 5 years. And then in that next 5 years, instead of putting $1 million in, they're putting $2 million in because it's been paid for. Suddenly they're going to be making better quality players, better coaching, whatever. And then the next one comes through, and then it moves their baseline up again. Those who get the big move get the money in, and the others are better quality coming through. And then that happens with there. And then say we buy a player off them, then they get more money and we go again. And it just keeps coming through and building that program up. In turn, what's going to happen? It's going to make a better talent pool for the Scottish national team as well.
Yeah. Yeah. It all feeds into each other, but the root cause of the problem is a lack of leadership.
It's the old boys in blazers, not blouses. big girls' blouses as well. There you go. They got no leadership. They just look at them like, whether it's the board at Celtic, they're not fit for purpose. Whether it's the guys running the SFA, no good. SPFL people, shithouse. Like the people who run the referees, yeah, terrible. There's a massive need for new blood in Scottish football. Yeah.
I think most of the referees were off yesterday. I don't know why. I think they had some kind of march they were going on or something.
They're doing this, weren't
Anyway,
Well, they weren't. They weren't at the World Cup, Liam.
they? And which one are we
No.
talking about, Liam?
the cry was, "Oh fuck, we surrender." Anyway,
Up the king, up the Celts.
Yeah. So basically, like, there's a whole bit going on. Well, recruitment, back to the team. I knew we'd come back to it eventually. What are our priorities? Like, I know I've already said midfield for me is a massive thing. We need to sort out our midfield. I think defense is probably one or two little tweaks here. Attack, yeah, we'll get to that later on, because obviously we'll sit and wait on that at the last minute to see if we get in the Champions League as per usual. But for me, it's the middle of the park. What do you think, Shane, is the biggest concern or area we need to recruit someone?
I think potentially it's middle of the park. But right now, immediately, in terms of who we have or who we don't have, it's leading the line. It's a striker. We don't have a striker at the moment, or at least someone that I'd be totally comfortable with leading the line. Ian Archo's off and we haven't sorted out a new deal for him. So, you know, if that doesn't eventuate, who's leading the line come early August, that Monday night on Flag Day?
Johnny Kenny.
There you go, exactly. So for me, that's the most pressing issue. I think midfield will probably become the most important area of the park that we need to sort out. But right now, we've still got a few players there that haven't technically left yet, even though we all anticipate they will. But up top, we have very little, and I'd want to lock that in sooner rather than later.
I think the big question for us is, what formation are we going to play? And then that will, figure out what we need to recruit. Are we going to play with wing backs, 3 centre backs, 2 up top? If that's the case, we need to get 2 strikers in, minimum. Are we going to just go the 4-2-3-1? It's all going to come down to what sort of formation we're going to play. But I'm just trying to get the squad up here. But Liam, let us know. What do you think we need to recruit?
I mean, Shane's right. The forward line is the obvious one, but so we need a big presence, quite a tall guy, good in the air. Got a good head on him. So when are we signing Count Binface? Because I think that's it makes sense, right? There is going to be a blog at some point, and I'm going to have Count Binface in a Celtic top. I'm going to find a way to make an excuse for creating that image because now it's in my head. But yeah, we need to reinforce the attacking options. And when I say attacking options, not just the forwards, the midfield as well, because we need more goals from midfield. Engels, McGregor, they're solid and dependable, but you can't really depend on you. We've not had that sort of a guaranteed 10 to 15 goals a season midfielder since we lost Tom Rogic. I think that was the last time we had that.
Just thinking. Matt O'Reilly.
Yeah, he started to knock him in after
Matt
Rodgers
O'Reilly
came
did
back in.
O'Reilly did.
Actually, yeah, to be fair, yeah.
O'Reilly was probably the only one since then but he did it for like 1 and a bit seasons. That was about it of his time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the last time we had one doing it over a number of years was probably Stilian Petrov, if we're going back, far enough.
Yep. So I'm just looking at some of the comments here. So, like Robert Gibson is saying that Gladys the tea lady will be our striker come Flag Day.
Oh dear.
Good old Gladys. And then just scrolling through here, Andrew Galea is saying you got to spend 10 million to get a decent striker.
Oh, what a pity we don't have that money.
It's not just that we don't have that money. It's you can afford to speculate to accumulate. Spend the money now. Get the players in, like what we did with AJ. Come in before you let Juranovic go. It's not hard. Like, you're going to make that sale. You're going to get about 25 to 30 million for Engels. You're going to get, about 15 for Dazen. You're going to get about 5 for Rio. So straight away there's, what's that, like 50 million almost. My maths is shit. 40 million. Okay?
I mean, if they spent 30 of that on players, we'd be delighted and the board would still turn a profit.
The funny thing is they'll still get their net no spend. They'll reduce the wage bill because they're letting so many guys go and they're bringing in a couple others. It makes sense. So, look, Inner Hype saying we need a 6-8 and a 10. Andrew Galea is saying buy a proper 6 and move Kelmac up 2 for 1. I actually reckon that'd make him want to stay too, give him that freedom and not have to do as much leg work. And McLaughlin, yeah, fair point. Chris Commons was probably the last one.
Yeah, aye, good shout, yeah.
Yeah, I know, Robert. I've got a weird hat. Look. Yeah, so it's going to be one of them things where we're going to get the money in. We're going to sell the players. We'll probably get if we get a stupid offer say if we get an offer for Trusty, then what do? We sell him, but do you trust us to have oh, geez, that was bad. Do you actually think we will have a list of like what we should have? This is why I keep saying we need the director of football in or the head of recruitment. For every single position, we should have a list of 7 or 8 players sitting there going, if we lose a centre back, a right side centre back, these are the guys we want to look at. These are the guys for that. Inner Hype, you're spot on. There you go. 6 million for Justin Maswanisi would be straightforward to the board. Not just that, is Watt still there as well? Because there's your number 6 that we need. I'd bring in the 3 of them.
Easy wins right there. Easy wins.
That's what we should be doing though. Look at it going, okay, who are the best players in Scotland that would improve our team? Okay, it's those 3 there. Bring them in. Pay the 9, 10 million. Motherwell will be wrapped. They get some money they can go and spend and redo their squad. We fill 3 spots in our squad. Sorted. Now, instead of needing to get 12 players, we only need to get 8.
The only caveat I'd add to all of this, though, particularly around the players that we're going to sell, how much does Martin O'Neill signing on and staying at the club contribute to some of those players potentially not wanting away anymore?
It's a bit of a tough one. What do you reckon, Liam?
Well, it was interesting with the Dyson thing because benefit of being able to read and speak a bit of Japanese, I took quite a different impression of the interview from what most reporters in Scotland did. Most people viewed it as confirmation that he was off. But here's the thing, right? And like Daily Record, The Sun, whatever. And to be honest, I'm not trying to have a go, but some of the Celtic blogs as well make this mistake. They get a report from Japan and they just fire it through Google Translate and then go with whatever comes out. The main issue with that, and I'm sorry, get my English teacher head on here for a minute. The main issue is that tenses in Japanese don't work the same way they do in English.
There's no
So
context.
Dyson says, I want to play in England, which is what he said, right? He said, I want to play in the Premier League. He didn't say now. He didn't say this season. He just said, that's my ambition. You know, if I was to predict, I still think he'll go, but if he doesn't, I think it's more likely he stays and runs down his contract because he's only got 12 months left. So we might get Dyson for another year, but then the flip side of that is we lose him for bugger all next summer.
Oh, but don't
But
worry.
I definitely don't think he's absolutely set on going away based on that interview. You know?
Don't worry, Liam. We've already got his replacement in the door. We signed Balikwisha last season. That's how our board thinks.
Dyson's the one that I thought of when I'm thinking of those that might try and stay around because he seemed to really enjoy Martin, particularly in that second spell. It was the best that he'd looked all season. I think he really lifted his performances overall. He was struggling early on and when all the upheaval was happening. And I think Martin has that way with a lot of players. I think they really do not only just respect him, but really enjoy the fact that he's in charge. So another aspect to Martin actually remaining as manager could be, just as a very left field take, the board saying, well, Martin signing on might actually mean that we don't sell a couple of these players. That sounds a little bit counterproductive to a board that likes to sell high, but you know, for a board that doesn't like to actually spend money to bring in talent, you know, keeping existing talent there isn't exactly the worst thing either. So
Yeah, I'm just having a look at the list there, Shane. Like, we know what you're saying. You're preaching to the choir with that, Shane. We all know. We all know exactly, agree with it. And Ross, don't forget Tenecti. Yeah, don't forget the Yang Gang as well. So I'm just having a look, right? So if you look at our forward options, we've got apparently Jota. Does he exist anymore? Was he re-injured or was he back?
he's had another setback.
Yeah, so you got Jota. Balikwisha, Yang, Shinyamada. What do you reckon? Scored a penalty the other day. Is he a chance?
Yeah, really important penalty to make sure that we came out of Toka Park with a draw.
So the talk is that Dermot Desmond allegedly is making Martin have another look at Yamada and Balikwisha before making a decision on them in pre-season.
Jesus.
So you got Callum Osman, you got Tenecti, Johnny Kenny, Maida, Jamesy. So there's a bunch of players there. The middle of the park there's only 7 players, right? You got Nigrin, McCowan, the Ox, Arnie, Bernardo, Rio, Kelmac. So of those 7, 3 of them want moves away. And then the other one of those middle is if an offer comes in for Nigrin that's good enough, I'll be like, see you later.
He didn't have the World Cup. I was hoping, though, just to jump in really quickly. I was hoping he'd have a decent showing for Sweden and it'd bump up his value. It didn't really pan out that way.
And then at the back, I didn't realise we have so many centre-backs. So we've got, at right back, we've got Johnson and we've got the Bricky, right? So and Colby Donovan. So we've got 3 options at right back. Left back, it's just Tierney. So currently his backup would be Liam Scales. Unless there's a young kid. But then the middle of the park, you got Scales, Trusty, Naroski, Carter Vickers, Dane Murray. So we've got 5 centre-backs already. So when I'm saying we need to get another centre-back, Not unless we sell. I think that's good enough rotation for how it is at the moment. If we're going to play in the Europa League, let's be honest. Unless we get some strikers and shit in. Middle of the park, striker. Sorted out, Celtic. Done.
The the interesting thing about the formation you were talking about before, are we going to play with a 4-2-3-1? Are we going to play with 3 centre halves, 2 wing backs? I mean, right now it would seem like we can't really do that because we've only got one left back or one player that can basically play left wing back, really. But we do have a plethora of centre halves, so maybe the idea is to go down that path.
And this sort of strikers to play 2 up front.
No, but we're always going to be deficient somewhere, right? But this is sort of where I was circling back to getting a Rahal before, because you could have AJ as that centre back and a Rahal as the wing back, right? And you get Tierney, and I know Srirachi's not going to happen, but you'd have Srirachi and Tierney. One of them's a centre back, the other can bomb on, or Tierney can take a break, and then you have the 3 centre halves, right? That's a possibility. But again, like you said, we're deficient up top. We don't have 2 that can play up top, so it'll be interesting to see how it pans out.
Yep. So just going through some comments because that's going to be, they're talking about that. Like McLaughlin's saying defence isn't the biggest worry. He's saying central mid, left wing, right wing, centre forward is. Robert Gibson, Mr. Positivity himself. I love it. Most of the centre backs are shite. Plus, we don't have to hear say Palmer's a wanker anymore because he's Gornsky. Michael Ross is saying, if I'm O'Neill, I say enough is enough. I'm off to fuck this shit. And then Ross is saying here, we won't move to wing backs. Arahel, no way he's coming back. And Dermot McCulloch is saying, 2-year contract for Iheanacho, Osmond will be good. So Chiri to Rio made, sadly Angles and possibly Nigrin. The thing we had with Iheanacho was if we signed him, we had a second year on him. We had a club option. If we just had to activate it, he'd already be at the club. We didn't activate it in time, and now we're bidding against other clubs in Turkey and stuff for him. Yeah. You see this thing called Genoes? We're cutting it off to spite our face. We're really clever.
Yeah.
And then we got Camilo Duran as well. Haven't spoken about him. New signing. New number 11. What do you reckon, Liam?
Are we going to sign John Duran as well, just so the midfield will be Duran?
Yes.
I'm just making that joke before anybody else does, all right? Put him in there with Rio as well. I mean, why not? You know?
Yeah. Shane's
But
lost.
yeah, good player. I think good signing. I think he'll do well for us. Yeah.
I mean, we could talk about the how the signing was announced and the fact that the government basically announced it on behalf of Qarabag before anyone from Celtic said anything.
All the fans at the camp in Portugal were there and they was getting photos and that was shared all on social media a day before and he's on there with his number and everything on his tops.
It's official. Our media team is worse than Azerbaijani state media. That is demonstrably proven now.
No. What's worse, Liam, is how many people we hear on Axom and that all the time. We have a public relations team of 30 people at the club.
We're 29 and a half of them out getting coffee last week. What was the deal?
So they're work experience kids all on holidays. What's the go? Like,
imagine finding out your story's been, you know, for lack of a better term, trumped, and your announcement's been sort of, you've been beaten to the punch, and you're just like, oh, okay, which media company's released? And you're like, oh, it's the Azerbaijani state media. And you just like, you double take, like, what the hell?
Like a decent football club would have sacked their entire media team for that. Like, seriously, that is just like, it's like the Daily Record getting scooped by the fucking Kilsyth Chronicle, that's which was my local paper when I was a wee boy. Nothing against them, but that's just what I mean.
yeah, it's just sometimes you just got to laugh at what's going on at Celtic because it's sometimes I think the local bowling club in my hometown up here and down here in Melbourne have a better, they have a Facebook page that they put shit up on like once a week, results from their games and a few photos, and a post every now and then. oh, we've got, a $15 pot and Palmer. Sweet. I'll go there.
Sweet.
Better. That's better public relations and communication skills than we see from Celtic half the time.
I mean, I don't want to be too negative, right? We try and come on here and be jovial and have a bit of a laugh. But, I'd always, I think there were kind of two schools of people or two groups that Celtic fans sort of fit into last year a little bit, which was most people going, the ends of last season has justified the means, which is nothing's going to change. We won the title and therefore everything is A-OK. We don't need to rock the boat from those higher up. And I was probably more in the positivity camp of like, it was such a close run thing last season that change has to come because it was simply too risky. And if you were sort of that positive mind frame like I was, you're sort of looking at this going, nope, I was wrong.
So I think we can just all wrap up the pod on how we all finish with this topic here, Shane, right? So for me, I'm of the view that our last season wasn't good enough. We got the job done in spite of our board. And it was Martin and Sean and Fozzie and the players who got it over the line, right? The thing for me is those people who are saying, oh, the happy clappers, we won the league, we got on the double. Yay, we won. The board knows what they're doing. Eat a bag of dicks, you lot. Seriously. I want my football club to develop and get improved. And the fact of the matter is, if I was over there, like if I had a chance to go onto the board, I'd be flipping the boardroom table over. I'd be like, no, you cunts don't get to sit at the table. Flip this thing over. Whoops. And I'd full on crack the shits at it because it's not good enough. The fact of the matter is, we've signed two players this off-season, and one was a guy we had last season. Until that, we were the only Scottish top-flight team that hadn't signed a player. This is not good enough. Are we Celtic? Or are we, are we Gretna? Anyway, and where do you sit on all that?
I mean, it's... this is Celtic, but it's also a wider context, right? Can people online please just stop simping for big companies and big businesses that would not piss on you if you were on fire? Like, the amount of people defending the Celtic board, I like my video games. I've seen a lot of people doing the same thing for Sony this week, despite them completely shitting the bed. I'm just sick of it. I'm sick and tired of working class people sticking their necks out for companies that would throw them under the bus if it added an extra percentage point to their profit margin. It's just, can we just stop and just realise these people are incompetent and they need to be ripped out and replaced?
100%. As Pegleg's saying here, guys, this is never going to change while the dear leader and his brat run the club. And the
I bet Dermot Desmond's one of those wankers who plays Monopoly with real money. You know that? He seems like that sort of guy who just get the kick out of doing something like that.
And Ross is saying the fact of the matter is that the board do not give a fuck about what you or I think. And that's the thing, right? Yeah. If any other... I'm going to look at it from a business point of view. Any other walk of life, if you go down to the local sandwich shop and you give really shit service to all your customers, what happens? You lose your customer base, no one comes back, you go under. This board is taking the piss because they know that we're loyal and we stick it out. And we've been through shit, and the fact of the matter is, if you give up your membership, your season ticket, it's going to take you at least probably 15, 20 years to get one back. So they know people aren't going to leave. They're not going to expand the stadium. They're not going to do anything for that reason. So it's one of them things where they know they've got you by the ball bag and they're just going to fucking give it a twist here and there to make it uncomfortable for you, but they know you're going to give them their money back. Keep putting your money in. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we've gone quiet. Final thoughts, boys. First one of the year. My final thought, I'll go with it. I will try not to drop another C-bomb for at least another 3 or 4 weeks.
daft cunt. There's no way you're managing that.
Just let Liam do it for you.
Oh, brilliant. Shane, you got a
Right,
final
Shane,
thought?
you want to go next?
Yes, I hope I'm not stealing yours, Liam, potentially. I just wanted to say Varley to Sam Neill, who passed away earlier today. I don't think you'll come across a more universally loved and respected actor than Sam Neill, particularly of his generation. You couldn't find anyone to say a bad word about him as a person and as an actor, and he was at the top of his game. His craft was excellent. So, Varley to you, sir, and your family, and thank you for all the wonderful memories and movies.
Well, if you're going to do Varley's,
Yeah,
I'll throw one in there too then. Darren Hinch. He died over here as well, and the reason I will give him his props is anyone who's in the media who openly goes to jail for outing pedos' locations and names and stuff is a good bloke in my opinion. So, rest in peace, Mr. Hinch. Liam?
Yep. And while we're honouring heroes, you know, I've got the Argentina top on today. It's a bit of a joke, you know, a banter, but I did actually bump into, well, I say bump into, I came across a Falklands veteran while I was back in Glasgow. Homeless. And whatever your position on war, it's no right that someone who fought for their country is sitting there begging. So I took the boy into a cafe and I bought him lunch and, you know, gave him a couple of quid. Just, you know, he's a veteran. Anyone who puts their life on the line for their country, whether you agree with it or no, deserves respect. Boy was in tears. Do you know what he said to me? Gracias. Viva las Malvinas!
So Michael Ross, don't tell everyone. Liam's with his, Cabana boy Pedro. Hail, everyone, and we'll see you next week.
Hello.
Hail.
Hey, Liam. Last joke.
Yep.